So for this week on Cyberschool, we're going to continue our series on demystifying different topics. And since we've, at length covered paging, let's get into access control, kind of the other niche that we have at CyberData. So today we're going to cover really what is access control and how to get started. This will be an ongoing series that we'll do talking about the different parts of access control and how you can integrate it with your system. But as we get into that, we really got to understand the topic at hand. So what is access control? So access control is just the selective restriction of access to something. A lot of the times, especially when we're dealing with, cyber data products, you're going to be dealing with physical access, but it can also be, say, logical access or just say like access to a file server. Like at CyberData, we've got a thing that we call mainframe that holds a whole bunch of different folders, different materials, all sorts of, files that, a business could have. And some of those different files on that server are protected. So that way, not everybody that doesn't have access to it can read it. So that has a form of access control on it. It's really commonly used, again, for just physical and data security. It's really just, again, preventing people that shouldn't be accessing something or shouldn't be looking at something from looking at it. And there's a lot of different implementation styles out there when we're dealing with, of course, physical security. Of course, the stuff that we all use and we've all carried around for our entire lives, and that's just a regular lock and a key. What you use for your front door, that is access control. But it can go up from that. You can think of your standard business where you've actually got people that are running access control, and that's security guards. Where you've got somebody, say, posted at a guard shack or somebody that walks around a building, that's a part of access control. You can get for a more modern implementation, and that can be something like RFID cards or RFID tags that you can use commonly with CyberData products or multitudes of other ones. And then you can get even into other parts of access control that's substantially more secure, and we'll cover that in an upcoming Cyberschool, and that'll be multi-factor authentication. So that's using more than one style of actual authentication to get into a building, and that's going to be its own subject. So we really won't talk about it more than just it's out there, and that's another implementation style. So what makes up an access control system now that we kind of understand what an access control system is? So access control, of course, is already going to be implemented in some form or fashion. You've already got access control. You just might not realize that you're using access control. You've never called it something like that. Of course, every door that you're going to deal with has a lock, whether it's, your front door, sometimes your bedroom, your bathroom definitely has a lock. That's kind of, standard practice on all bathrooms. So, you're already using access control in your everyday life. And that can be, again, just like a basic system that's a simple lock and key, or more of an advanced system that'll have some kind of an electronic locking system. These can, of course, just be controlled by a regular lock and key, or sometimes an RFID system, or even a phone system, or you can combine those two where you've got a separate RFID system to get in and then a phone system style control that you can use for, say, your regular visitors, your patrons, what have you. And then underneath the hood, when you're dealing with that RFID style system or a phone system, there's going to be something that's going to toggle a relay and actually open the door. But wait a minute, we're talking about phone system control. How the heck can I pick up my phone and actually open a door? What is that? How does that work? So that's going to work with kind of like an intercom. We call them intercoms at CyberData, your door phone, your door buzzer. There's a multitude of different names out there for it. In the CyberData universe and kind of in the greater telecom industry, we refer to that as intercoms. And when I say intercoms, I'm not talking about your overhead speaker system, your overhead paging system. I'm talking about your doorbell, your door phone, your door intercom, your your door buzzer, the thing at the door that you walk up and you press the button and then somebody can quote unquote buzz me in or buzz you in, like you see in all the movies where somebody's going up to meet in an apartment, in, say, the greater New York metro area, and they're standing there on the street and they press the button, hey, buzz me in, and somebody, does something in their apartment and they let them in through that front door. That's an intercom system, and that is a form of access control. The way that these are controlled is going to be by using something known as dual tone multi-frequency or just DTMF. They're frequently called DTMF tones. Kind of, for those old school, old hats potentially that might be paying attention here. That's the old, whistle that you used to be able to get, boxes of, Captain Crunch or Cracker Jack. It's the old school whistles that you could blow into a phone and, get free time on it or free collect calls or something like that. That's the same thing. It's just done in a more modern implementation. And the way that that works is your intercom is going to receive and process these DTMF tones. And if it's the right pattern of it, say 1, 2, 3 for conversation's sake, it'll activate that, process that as a valid code, and then activate its relay. And then, of course, the door will unlock. And of course, when you're dealing with an intercom, the standard use case is you walk up, you press the button, it calls some number, somebody answers, and they let you in. But it can also work on the inverse, where you can call the intercom, because say maybe you're watching your camera system and somebody's walking up, and you can say, hey, John, you're 5 minutes late. The door's already open. Hurry up and get in here. The meeting's already in progress. So you've got that kind of capability with an intercom. Most people think that it can only make outbound calls, but you can actually call to an intercom too. Not really a standard use case, but you can absolutely do that. So now we've talked a little bit about relays. What the heck is a relay? Well, relay is, a switch. Your regular, say, switch that you use to turn on the light in a room, that's essentially a relay, but, you're the human that's doing it instead of it being controlled electronically. So what we have here in the picture is essentially electrically what an actual relay does. On the left-hand side, we've got kind of a relay in its normal idle state, where the coil on the left-hand side is de-energized, meaning there's no electricity flowing through it. And on the right-hand side, you can see our contact denoted by the little kind of circle and the line going out that's not connecting to the other circle. That just means that there's no contact. It's normally open is what that NO stands for. Also, conveniently, it says no contact because they're not touching together. It's perfect. So the way that these work is, say when you're using your intercom, you punch in your DTMF tones, again 1, 2, 3 to the intercom, and it processes that as a valid code. Okay, what happens then? So then electricity is actually supplied to that coil there. And what that does is it works magic. It creates magnetism. And what that does is that pulls the actual metal part of that switch on the right-hand side and closes the circuit. And when that does, the circuit is closed, and the voltage that is running there on that right-hand side, as we can see here on the right-hand image, when voltage is supplied through the coil, it turns nice and green there. Magnetism occurs, magic, and it pulls that coil together, completes the circuit, and then the switch can actually open, the relay opens, the door unlocks, and somebody can go through there. So that's how a relay actually works, and that's what a relay is. It's essentially a switch, but it's just electronically controlled. So how does this relay actually open the door? Now that we know that, okay, relay gets energized, it magically just opens the door. How the heck does this actually work? So a relay is going to be connected to something like a door strike, commonly referred to as like an electric strike, basically an electric lock that's going to keep that door shut. And when the relay contact closure actually goes through, as we just saw in our last slide there, when magnetism occurs, magic happens, and that circuit is connected, we've got a complete circuit. And that allows power to flow through that circuit where the relay is. And that power then goes and energizes that door strike, the electric strike, the electronic lock. And that essentially works just like another relay. It gets power through it, and it just triggers, and the door unlocks. So that way, as everything kind of goes through, when power is applied, it goes and unlocks the door. Let's kind of work through a flow chart, because that might help you understand stuff. So somebody walks up to the intercom and they press the button on it, and it makes a call to a phone. And somebody answers the phone and they talk to them, who are you? What are you doing here? Oh, it's me, John. I forgot my card or what have you. Buzz me in. So then they punch in their custom DTMF pattern on their phone, and that is received by the intercom. The intercom processes that, and it's the correct code, so it goes and activates the relay, as we can kind of see with that little relay activation screenshot that I snapped out there. So the circuit is completed, and then electricity is going to flow into the door strike, the electronic lock, the that device there kind of in the center middle bottom. That'll go actually unlock the door, and the door unlocks and somebody can go through the door. So that way you can tell just by basically pushing the button on the intercom, the call flow, and how this process would actually work and how the flow would work as you go through and you actually let somebody through a particular door. So when we're thinking about access control, you're already dealing with it. Access control can kind of be kind of this funny term. What is this access control? You're already doing it. So what you want to do is you want to expand it and take advantage of that fancy VoIP phone system that you just moved over to. And you want ways to go and, okay, I can also control my door system with this. I can do this with that. So this is just another way that you can accent the powerful capabilities of your existing VoIP phone system by integrating your access control into it with something like a door phone or an intercom. And you do that by using a relay that is on the intercom that you're going to be utilizing. So that way you punch in that DTMF code, the relay is energized, magic happens, and the door is unlocked with that electronic strike, that electronic door lock. That way it makes it really, really easy to go and integrate it. It seems very complicated when you think about it. Oh my gosh, I need an electronic lock. No, my locks just work with a key. They still work with a key if they're electronic, because different other magic stuff that I'm not qualified to talk about, but it provides you an easy way to go and integrate access control into your new VoIP phone system. And we'll cover more about this subject as we go through. We'll talk about different relay contact closures. And then the other thing that we haven't discussed in here, which would be maglocks. That deserves its own special cyber school. So if you're interested in maglocks or more terms of access control, please stay tuned for upcoming editions of Cyber School.
Thank you for watching this edition of Cyberschool. If you have any questions, please get in contact with our sales department. They are available by email at sales@cyberdata.net or by phone at 831-373-2601 extension 334. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this from CyberData.